President Jimmy Carter once said, "We know that a peaceful world cannot long exist, 1/3 rich and 2/3 hungry." According to the Missouri Food Hunger Atlas, anywhere from 9% to 23% of people in Missouri are food insecure, and anywhere from 12% to 27% of Missouri children are food insecure. Food insecurity is defined as the inability to provide enough food for a healthy and active lifestyle for all household members. Education at every level, community, family, and student, is the only way to combat food insecurity. My name is Carmel Dare, but those that have my heart call me Chef Dare. I am the culinary instructor at Rolla Technical Institute in Rolla, Missouri. I work with students from 10 sending schools who have a passion for food and all things food. Many students come to me with all of the tools and they are prepared to take on all the tasks I give them, and they run. But many, many others come to me to learn how to feed themselves after many years of struggling with food insecurity. Food insecurity has been a problem in schools for years, yet the students who are the most food insecure are not always the stereotypical student. As a former school counselor and a current culinary instructor, I have learned firsthand that more families than one can ever imagine lead a food insecure existence. This TEDx series is about chain reactions, and food insecurity causes chain reactions at every level, from personal to family, family to school, school to community, and then back through the chain to cause reactions and consequences with every person that the food insecure comes into contact with. According to the Missouri Department of Health and Human Services, children growing up in food insecure households are more likely to have poor health, higher levels of iron deficiency resulting from reduced nutrition intake, higher probability of illness leading to increased emergency room visits and hospitalizations. Children in food insecure households are more likely to have lower levels of parent-child attachment, lower cognitive scores, and experience more developmental delays than those living in food secure homes. When students are hungry, they cannot learn properly. When students go home trying to catch up from a one-day loss of education due to not being able to focus due to their hunger, parental frustration and family discourse sets in, as this is just another problem to bring to a table that may or may not have food on it. Data taken from the Ozarks Food Harvest found in a recent study that 27.9% of mothers stated they were worried that they would run out of food for their families before they had enough money to purchase more. The state of Missouri is predominantly made up of many rural communities that, without adequate and reliable transportation, many people's sense of hope or for a better future can be squelched. In large portions of rural Missouri, 41% of households have had to choose between food and utilities. 36% of households have had to choose between paying for food and medicine or medical care. 29% have had to choose between paying for food and transportation, and 28% have had to choose between paying for food and housing. Parents may or may not be able to provide enough sustenance for themselves, which causes issues in the workplace, which then becomes a community issue, as adults who struggle with food insecurity are more likely to perpetuate the cycle within their children who will grow into the workforce. In a large portion of the state, the Ozarks region, food insecurity rates are dramatically higher than all other Missouri households. This study showed that 64% of households have low food security. That means they have reduced quality, variety, or desirability of diet. Of that, 30% of these households have very low food security. They truly don't have enough food to meet their needs. And finally, 52% of those households, they get at least half of their food every month from a local food pantry. Do these statistics surprise you? Do they make you sad? Do they make you mad? As someone who comes face to face every day with these walking and talking statistics, it should. I had a student who came to me in 2019 with an incredible passion for food, but little resources to make much happen for her at home. Throughout our 2 years together, the student excelled and took in like a sponge every single thing about the food industry. And I could tell she had the fire, not just because she had hunger, but because she also had a passion to feed others. Many who have led a food insecure existence at various times in their lives find that once they figure out the keys to be able to provide food for themselves, they must provide that for others. She left our program and joined the U.S. Coast Guard. During her research, she found out that the U.S. Coast Guard had the highest sign-on bonus. And with the industry-recognized credentials that she earned in our program, she was well on her way. She was the #1 female graduate from basic training, so she got a meritorious rank advancement. And then after she went to culinary school for the Coast Guard in Temecula, California, she graduated as the #1 culinary graduate. So she got to choose her pick of duty stations. This girl, who is 1 year out of high school, is now stationed in Oahu, Hawaii, living her very best life. While I'm very versed in teaching my students how to feed themselves economically, my next step is to begin to offer these opportunities to the community at large and individual families through the Phelps County Dream Center, offering widespread community programming in various formats: face-to-face, video uploads to social media, telecommunications that can educate the community and families on productive ways to use the USDA resources, and the most effective possible way on what types of the most effective way possible based on productive ways to use USDA resources the most effective way possible based on what types of equipment they have available. Example: do they have a refrigerator or a freezer, and if so, what size? Do they have a toaster oven? Do they have a hot plate? Do they have a microwave? Do they have an Instapot? Do they have an oven? If a family does or does not qualify for USDA resources, education around the best ways to make every dollar stretch the furthest with the most nutritional food items possible, while also using their time the most efficiently. Food given to someone is fruitless without the tools necessary to prepare it. If someone is given a spaghetti squash, if they, #1, don't know what it is, #2, don't have the equipment to prepare it, and #3, don't know how to prepare it, that vegetable has done no one any good because it's not going in anybody's body. One also needs to know what other things go with vegetables. And so you can take that vegetable and make it a palatable meal. Food has to be about more than just calories in. If it does not feed your soul and allow people to get all of the things that one gets from sitting down and having a meal, like social and emotional connection, it's an opportunity missed. The working poor has shifted to the middle class. Making assumptions about a person's household and that they have everything that they need is a poor assumption. Talk to people, get to know people, read the room. Leave your preconceived notions about poor people in your past. Did you know that 84% of the people who receive USDA food stamps are working? Do you honestly believe that someone who needs to utilize food stamps and is working does not ever deserve to celebrate a birthday with a cake from the bakery department, which, by the way, is cheaper than making your own cake? Or to celebrate just making it through a hard day with a candy bar and a soda? Or maybe they just don't deserve to be subjected to a disparaging glance. As you look at me, do I look like someone who utilized food stamps, WIC, government housing? If you said no, you're wrong. My husband and I have been married for 28 years, and we've got married at age 19. Before my husband could finish college, we had 2 children. I stayed home with them until they were ready to go to preschool. I did not finish my undergraduate degree until 2002. I've since earned my master's in school counseling and a specialist degree in curriculum instruction. My husband is Dr. Kyle Dare, Deputy Superintendent of Schools in Raleigh Public Schools. Our now 27-year-old daughter is a 2017 Missouri S&T graduate in nuclear engineering. She went on to get her master's and do her residency in medical physics at Vanderbilt in Nashville, Tennessee. She is now a medical physicist in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for Allegheny Health. Our now 25-year-old son is a 2019 graduate of the University of Missouri in Columbia in health sciences and a 2021 graduate of the University of Missouri Columbia in occupational therapy. He's now in his second year of his PhD. The difference between my little family and a family who's food insecure: luck, equipment, and information. Being in the right place at the right time, knowing when to buy nutritious food for my family that we could afford, and how to prepare it so they would eat it. Representation matters. If children cannot see themselves in someone who's doing well and is successful, they are less likely to strive for more than what they know. What they know is their comfort. Be the representation to a child to emulate. Food insecurity touches someone you come into contact with every day, I promise you. Ask questions without judgment. Help someone without taking a picture. Help without the need for an accolade. Instead of going into situations assuming negative intent, always assume positive intent. To quote Anne Frank, hunger is not a problem, it's an obscenity. How wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. And because my student chef said that I must say it, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.